As if the town itself were holding its breath, the night in Flagstaff was heavy in a chilling stillness. A lone street lamp cast long, solitary shadows across the walls of the last brown house. In her armchair, what Cody playfully referred to as her queen's seat, Robin sat snug, ringed by a flow of unopened messages from worried friends, far-off relatives, and a couple of producers who had heard the rumors. Her phone lay in her lap. For once, the gossip wasn't concerning her. Robin had sensed a change. Cody had been withdrawing for months, his calls getting shorter, his absences growing longer. He'd leave with vague excuses, assisting a friend, catching up with an acquaintance, taking space. As ever, she rationalized. But in her heart, a quiet fear had begun to gnaw. Then the picture. Fuzzy, pixelated, taken by a fan and posted anonymously. Hi everyone. Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Emma, and this is Sister Wife Story. Don't forget to like the video. The photo featured Cody seated across a younger woman in a dark restaurant, golden locks, round, respectful eyes. Their bodies inclined toward each other in unspoken intimacy, but they weren't touching. The same kind of intimacy Cody used to have with Robin. When she was the brightest new light in his life, her name was Eden, a divorced, seeking former fundamentalist, and Cody's so-called spiritual rebirth. Robin's confrontation wasn't raging. It was queasily silent, the sort of silence that crawls under your skin. Without so much as a glance, she said, "Are you courting someone?" He did not answer immediately. Fiddling with his wedding ring on his fingers, he sat at the edge of the couch, staring at the floor. And then, with a voice that was more tired than embarrassed, he spoke up. "I didn't look for her. She found me. She still thinks about what we had." "What you gave up?" Robin answered. "I never lost hope," Cody replied. "But you lost faith in me, and you made it impossible to breathe." Robin's chest constricted. Her face went pale. "You intend to marry her?" "She gets me," Cody whispered. "The way you used to." Something within her broke at that. Far away, in a small North Carolina house, Janelle stood by her kitchen counter, one hand wrapped around a cup of tea, the other cradling her phone. On her TV, a frozen image displayed Cody in mid-sentence during a recent livestream, wandering on about restoring order, sacred masculinity, and God's plan. She turned it off before he could conclude. Her jaw clenched. Her phone vibrated again. Another text from Eli. "Saw the stream. You okay?" She smiled weakly. Eli was one of those people who always checked in at the right moment. Never boisterous, never imposing, just good. While the others handled Janelle as the invisible wife, Eli, one of their actual real estate advisors in Vegas, had never really failed to see her. He'd listened to her ideas, requested her opinions, even gone to bed one night so that he could listen to her share about land investing tactics. What had started out as a professional rapport slowly crept into more personal areas. Eli started sending her books and asking about the kids and remembering their birthdays. After she'd moved out, after their divorce was finalized, it was still Eli calling in every week, checking on her. Nothing came from Cody. She never expected anything else. Not that it stung. She knew he never could care enough to be bothered. Out in Utah, the sharp pine-scented night closed around Mary as she stood outside her bed and breakfast. Hair pulled back, flannel shirt and jeans on, she exuded the calm strength of one who had stopped looking for permission. That morning, she'd received a call from her producers. "We're doing a tell-all. Full access, no scripts." Mary had hesitated before answering, "Do I get to say everything?" The next week, when the cameras were rolling, she sat up straight, unwavering, unyielding. "You all thought a Robin was the issue," Mary started. She was included, but Cody was the mastermind of this mess. She leaned forward. "For years, I held something about Janelle back. It wasn't betrayal. It wasn't lying. It was love. Or at least the start of it. A different kind of love. From someone who actually saw her." She remembered Janelle's lonely supper, the late nights without sleep, and that twinkle in her eyes each time Eli phoned. Cody had never seen it, least of all because he didn't want to, but because he was too busy being a master of image control. Janelle had discovered someone who didn't view her as a duty. The true betrayal was that Cody never cared enough to inquire as to what she really required. Back in the States, a storm of frustration was brewing. Maddie, Michael, Gwendolyn, Logan, Peyton, Gabriel, Savannah, even Truly, had all witnessed their father's disintegration for months. His search for Eden had been the last straw in an already weakened framework. In a rage, Gwendolyn made a voice memo and sent it to everyone in the family. Grown tired of him hiding behind God's will. This isn't religion, it's ego, biblical abandonment masquerading as justification. Peyton replied, "We've been silent long enough. It's time we spoke." The next day, they wrote a letter. Director, concise, public. Our childhood was order masquerading as chaos. We were taught silence was love. That loyalty demanded silence. We disown that now. We're not included in the Cody Brown redemption narrative. We are the ones standing here, survivors of a legacy we did not choose. Cody, desperate to regain control, shot back with a live stream. "They don't get it," Cody said. "They don't realize the burden of spiritual leadership. None of them ever lost their luster in my estimation." Behind him, hardly perceptible in the fuzzy live stream, Robin sat still, a figure immobile in grief, like a statue witnessing her kingdom fall apart, piece by piece. The same month, Eden attended a spiritual convention, sitting next to Cody with peaceful eyes and a demure outfit. She talked about reclaiming sacred buildings. Cody referred to her only as a spiritual friend. The headlines erupted, but louder than the media attention was the silence. No wife of Brown appeared beside him. No child provided a supporting word. He was isolated, grasping a system of beliefs no longer in favor of the family it once professed to serve. Several days later, Robin came forward for her own media interview. Her voice was rough, her eyes puffy. The room that surrounded her was cramped, darker than it had been previously. "I fought," she confessed. "I begged him not to leave. But I think maybe. He was already gone. I just wouldn't see it." She dry laughed, shaking her head. "I always thought I was the last wife, the one he had chosen. But now I see I was just a detour along the way. We all were." In the last scene, Janelle strolled through a farmer's market, hand in hand with Eli, smiling quietly but sincerely. At her Utah inn, Mary hosted a women's retreat based on the serenity she'd constructed from the ashes. Christine didn't appear on camera, but she sent each of the women flowers, along with a handwritten note. "Your voice is your freedom. Don't stop using it." And Cody? He stood on a platform, addressing dwindling crowds, repeating truths that had at one time held his household together, now mere words ringing out into the emptiness. The wives departed, the children testified. The silence had been broken at last. All that was left of the man who once ruled a kingdom were echoes. But there was more to the tale. Sister Wives, Season 19 cast a painful eye on one of the saddest arcs in the Brown family's history, Garrison Brown's heartbreaking passing. Born to Cody and his second wife, Janelle, Garrison was a beloved member of the family, adored by all of Cody's wives, Robin, Christine, and Mary, as together they brought up 18 children. During his younger years, Garrison was a regular presence on the show. But as his relationship with Cody went south, his time on screen reduced. After Janelle's breakup with Cody, her grown sons pretty much vanished from the limelight. Garrison took his own life on March 5th, 2024. For a while, it was not known if Sister Wives would ever speak to the loss in public. The show had changed direction of late, from parenting to deconstructing relationships, particularly as Cody's marriages with Janelle, Christine, and Mary dissolved. But Garrison's death cut too deeply to be ignored. Episodes 2 and 3 of Season 19 were probably the hardest to watch, but also the most meaningful. They respected a life cut too short, and the way his story unfolded was more heartbreaking than anyone could have ever imagined. While the Sister Wives promo suggested that this season would be tackling Garrison's tale, viewers didn't know how intense it would become. While taping an interview segment, Mary had several calls from Cody. He told her it was an emergency. She declined to answer immediately, remaining concentrated on her story. When she finally answered, the camera paused on her face for an instant, and viewers, already tensed, knew precisely what she was being told. Family members shared one after the other how they heard of Garrison's death. It was one that shattered every fantasy of normalcy. Yes, the Browns are a celebrity family, lives telecasted to the entire world. But in that moment, they were merely grieving parents, siblings, and friends, taken aback by the unthinkable. The story was recounted in candid chronological honesty and left no feeling unexposed. It also exposed the intricate relationships in the broken family. Mary remembered driving to get Cody, delivering food to Janelle. Cody talked about how he tried to console all his children, including those estranged from him. Eventually, he sat alongside Janelle and discussed plans for their son. A brief moment of confluence after years of separation. While past seasons have centered around internal turmoil, this episode was different. Amidst tragedy, it showed the family's ability to come together. Garrison's life and the happiness he spread were the focus. His influence wasn't only talked about, it was felt. Gabriel Brown, close to Garrison, talked about how real his brother was. He felt things more deeply than he let on. Gabriel said, explaining Garrison's soothing presence as the very definition of a gentleman, someone who put others at ease. Christine talked softly about his passion for the stars, for firelight, for adventure. Her daughter, Mikelti Padron, recalled his quick wit. Her husband, Tony, remembered Garrison's warmth. Photos sprinkled throughout the episode created a picture of a life full and rich. And words from those who cared for him explained just how unique and unreplaceable his soul was, even in such a big, busy family. As the family opened up about his struggles, they didn't hold back. We all knew he was hurting, Christine admitted. Janelle revealed that she and her sons had been checking in on him constantly, tag-teaming to keep an eye out. She spoke with heartbreaking honesty about his battle with alcoholism, explaining that it started during COVID and worsened in the final year of his life. That sort of openness was compelling, not so much due to the stigmatization that attends addiction, but because in the Browns' religious tradition, drinking is off limits. In opting for honesty, the Browns assisted in disarming the taboo surrounding mental health within communities of faith. Janelle explained the loss pushed her to have harder, more authentic talks with the children she had left. She ensured they had mental health resources and access to support. She also focused on healing herself. Relocating to North Carolina provided her with a fresh start, a means to emerge from the shadows of loss. While agonizing to behold, the show's portrayal of Garrison's death was deeply effective. It assigned a name, a face, and a life to a tragedy all too concealed. For those who might be silently suffering, the episode provided something that is precious, visibility, and perhaps even solace. And for the Brown family, it had the effect of affirming what had always been the case. Garrison's loss created a void that cannot be filled. But to talk about him honestly and gently might just be the beginning of healing. At the same time, in a stark counterpoint, the extravagance of Cody and Robin Brown's old Flagstaff house was again glimpsed briefly, its heated driveway and high-end accoutrements still intact. A jarring reminder of the gap between what was visible and what was hidden behind doors. Even though they had time in the spotlight, the Brown family never appeared particularly rich. And for a while, they weren't. That was part of what made Sister Wives so relatable in its early seasons. Fans got to watch actual money struggles unfold. Janelle went bankrupt in 1997, and Cody and Mary went along with them on a joint filing in 2005. Finances weren't glossed over, they were part of the narrative. But times changed over the years. Cody and Robin Brown, by their Whitstone Trust, bought their present house for a whopping $2.1 million with a down payment of $420,000. The house is well over 7,800 square feet. They took a mortgage on the remaining amount, a far cry from the tight-fisted early days the show once chronicled. Their old house, now purchased for $1.6 million by 2024, was just as opulent. That's the one with the heated driveway. And those don't come cheap. Based on estimates from Warmly Yours, standard heated driveways can cost as low as $7,000. But for custom installations, larger areas, or more complex systems, the price can reach as high as $30,000. For most fans, the Brown family's transition into luxury, namely Cody and Robin's way of life, felt disconnected. The pair's extravagance raised eyebrows, particularly when compared to the humble lives of Cody's other wives. Certain Reddit users suspected Cody and Robin may have rearranged assets purposefully ahead of time in case the other women did leave, say, into pieces of pricey artwork or fine trappings. Without any clear evidence to make it true, however, even just the appearances created this speculative fever. From the earlier season fiscal transparency of our knowledge thus far, Cody and Robin's seemingly excessive living produced a totally different impression. They've been likened online to Bonnie and Clyde, not for any criminal behavior, but for what some see as selfishness and manipulation. No charges have ever been filed against them, but the verdict in the court of public opinion has been severe. Some of their purchases have become legendary among viewers. Cody has been seen sporting a $1,100 David Yurman necklace, his own Heart of the Ocean. His Rolex collection features pieces that run into the thousands. Robin allegedly spent as much as $70,000 on American Girl dolls and personalized clothing for them, a detail that amazed even veteran viewers. But something unusual recently occurred. Cody split the Coyote Pass property, finally giving larger shares to his former wives, except for Christine, who was already gone. Some interpreted this as an unusual act of kindness. Others thought it was a tactical move, a response to pressure or the threat of a lawsuit. After all, Cody wasn't always so kind in the past. Neither Janelle nor Mary were well supported during their breakups. So why now? Some people believe that the women discovered their strength. They no longer required his validation, and he was aware of it. Cody Brown might be attempting to mend fences, particularly with his older kids. But there has been a lot. Time and space have altered the family, and there is no way of knowing if his regrets, or even his actions, will suffice to mend what has been broken. Because although Cody is evolving, the ramifications of his history continue to resonate through all the conversations, reunions, silences. The laughing, gregarious man Cody Brown once was has dissipated. In his place stands a thinner, more weary-looking man, a sharp-eyed man whose eyes are now shaded with cynicism and regret. The cheer is lost, replaced by distrust. But beneath the toughened surface, a spark of tenderness still lingers. In season 19 of Sister Wives, that tenderness reemerges, briefly, through olive branches and moments of making up. Cody and his former wives fought over the still unsold Coyote Pass property. For a time, the negotiations were like games, maybe even manipulation. But later, Cody raised Janelle and Mary's interest in the Arizona land. He subsequently sold the land. Each woman got $35,000 in cold hard cash. It wasn't restitution, but it was something, an acknowledgement of losses and emotional debts past. Cody has also contacted some of his sons. He disclosed that he's been in touch with Michael T. Brown and two of his older sons. The group even spent time together in Utah. It's a positive sign, though the sons are unnamed. Maybe by choice, maybe out of reluctance. For years, Cody demanded that his sons come to him to mend their broken relationships. But that attitude only widened the gap. A dad's work is to love without condition. It's his responsibility to be the safety net, not the kids. Cody's older kids, particularly those from his relationships with Christine, Janelle, and Mary, no longer feel okay tumbling into his arms. They want to be supported. They want to be seen. And they want to put an end to watching their mothers hurt. For these children, the heartache was never simply about Cody going away. It was about what he was running to. Robin's existence and Cody's love for her became impossible to deny. The family saw their father fall in love with a woman who was not their mother, and do so without remorse. That imbalance left scars. Children are perceptive. They don't forget the look in their mother's eyes when things start to unravel. They remember the sorrow, the jealousy, the silent breakdowns. Those memories reshape how they view their father. Cody now admits it. He believes his love for Robin is the reason he's estranged from some of his children. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's the cost of making a choice and never looking back. In Robin, Cody had comfort, but he lost connection. He used to say that he practiced a plural marriage, but really he was a monogamous deep down. That inconsistency came at a price to everyone concerned, including himself. But now, he's doing it. He's finally putting in the work, talking, moving around, dividing up property, being present. Maybe it's too late. Maybe it's just in time. Regardless of what, the most vital thing Cody Brown can do is not control land or produce performances of regret. It's to make his children feel seen, secure, and profoundly loved. He's not some clandestine figure from a John le Carré novel. He's simply a man in Flagstaff. Imperfect, frequently failing, but still loving. That love, which once lay buried beneath pride and obstinacy, still exists in him. And it's time he allows it to guide. Now, Cody can breathe. He's out of the psychological jail of unwanted polygamy. The play's over. No need to pretend any longer. And that release may be the door to something new and redemptive. With his kids, Cody can now be himself. That sort of authenticity has the potential to heal. He doesn't have to parade his joy with Robin. Theirs isn't a perfect relationship, nobody's is. But being in a traditional marriage now provides him with room to be more open with his children. And if there's anything they deserve, it's to see the true man behind the mask. Because the most comforting thing in any relationship is knowing someone, really knowing them. Years back, Cody devoted himself to one woman. That reality transformed his whole family. But when he sold off part of his 97% ownership of Coyote Pass land, it seemed like he was finally in the right. Perhaps it was done out of pressure. Maybe Janelle and Mary threatened a lawsuit. But whatever the reason, the action counted. This move towards equity was chivalrous. It was reluctant, maybe, but it was also kind and intelligent. It indicated that he could be attempting to rebuild, to make restitution. And we caught a glimpse of that when Peyton Brown shared a happy family picture on Instagram depicting an instant of light among the Brown children. Cody ought to be featured in more pictures like that. Splitting the Coyote Pass earnings, a huge amount, could potentially pave the way for Cody to reconnect with his older kids, especially those from his previous marriages. Janelle, for instance, has encountered significant financial struggles. Providing her with more than $300,000 would be a symbolic and useful gesture of support, not only for her, but for her kids as well. Ultimately, love is demonstrated in action. Perhaps this is Cody's attempt at it. Perhaps it is imperfect, but it's a beginning.